for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, Marie.
Hey.
How goes it?
It's Monday again, but we're here. No.
It's Monday. We're here. And you're here with us. How cool, right? I hope that you had a good break from us. Our last conversation, I think was lively. It wasn't as lively as it's been because Marie was on timeout from social spaces. She's got a very big voice and some very loud thoughts that make people uncomfortable in a way that make you think, which is why I think we get along so well. Hopefully that ban has been lifted and we can get some more people to join our conversation tonight, because tonight, respect. Do y'all know what it is? I don't know if maybe we have an issue with it because it's one of those things where people put their own definition on it. So then everybody's having a different conversation. Marie, I think that happens across the board. People feel that they know what something means. They've never looked it up, but they feel like they know what it means because contextually it's applied or worked for them in real time. They having a different conversation because they're not talking about that as much as they're talking about this, and then I think it even goes deep sometimes with like symptoms versus, why something's happening. You've got the surface problem and then the underlying problem. So again, we could be having different conversations and not even know. And now we've got all sorts of aggression, aggy conversations, and there's no need for that when we can kind of get to some understanding in the beginning, right? So respect. How do you feel about that word?
I think it's subjective. It's not subjective, but it very much is subjective because there's no definitive 100% this is what it means all the time, because again, it's holding someone in high regard, consideration, esteem, but again, it's still subjective.
So you just mean subjective because who I hold in high regard, you might not hold in high regard.
Yeah, because even too, what I might deem respectful might not be what you deem respectful. I think that it can vary, going back to just even the idea of what I may say and what, respect, what you may vision it as your definition of it may not be my definition of it. I could say the same thing you're saying and mean something completely fucking different. And we see that every day.
Sure. Very true. Very true. I think that this conversation about respect, it kind of goes across all of the environments of people activity. And while I don't really go into a lot of my political thoughts over here, as much as I think we try to have a world view of the things that adults should be aware of, right? And then you're going to have your opinion about those things. That's good. That means you're having thoughts, you're asking questions. But in entertainment, especially during Black Music Appreciation Month, so happy Black Music Appreciation Month to you guys. You've got people in the space, they're not Black, but they're doing the sound. They are around the people. And then respect. Is it there? Is it an appreciation for the craft, for the art, for the people, for the culture? And that's why we're assimilating towards it or taking it on? Or is it even assimilation? How do you feel about that? Because rap is ours, melanated peoples of America, Black Americans, however you identify yourself. We're not going to go into that here. But, that's an us invention. And if you haven't seen Microphone Check that out, because I heard very, very, very good things. And I wasn't able to attend the screening, but if it were here, I would have. So, but it goes into the history of like hip hop and why our sound is the way it is. Enter Eminem, who's relevant now today because he's Houdini, right? Um, is there respect there? Where, how do you feel about it? Like other people rapping. You have a favorite white rapper?
No, but I almost feel like so there are studies showing that, a lot of hip hop is vast majority of it is bought by whites, right? So a couple things I think I want to point out is that most of the music
Wait, would you say it's what by whites?
it's purchased, like
Oh
actual
yeah,
like
yes,
record sales,
yes,
right?
yes, yes. Go ahead.
So, but I also want to point out just in general that most, I guess, American music, whether it's country or whatever, um, it's all ours. A lot of it, not all of it, most of it is ours anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
look
sure.
at
No,
music
yeah. Claim it all. Yes, Black and Music
I
Appreciation
look
Month.
at music as an art form, right? So because it is an artist can be I'm never really like, oh, because but I just may not relate to his white ass, oh, he's white, so that's why doesn't really, that doesn't bother me per se. I'm not like, oh, look at you out here. Because I think that just in general too, it's a form of flattery. We watched a lot of iconic, I guess there are iconic whites, in the 80s was the Beastie Boys. Like there's different people that come up with it, the early 90s, Vanilla Ice. There's always like somebody somewhere, right? So to just be like, oh, it's because you're white. Now at the same time though, I will say that, white folks want their champion, they want their rapper, they love rap, so they want their person. And I think that really even when they go like they're saying, oh, he's number one, because I have heard he's like the GOAT. So I'm like, he's not even in my top 10. But I'm sure there's a lot of white folks. It's like they resonate. Even sometimes his rap comes across. It reminds me of somebody that might shoot up a school, or bury someone in a ditch. But hey, like I guess everyone needs representation sometimes, But I myself, like, yeah, that's not something I would listen to, But
Oh,
it
oops. Sorry.
I'm like, but it doesn't really, I'm not like, oh my God. I can't, I'm just like, okay, there's a space and a place. Someone appreciates you. You know what I mean? Like, just like you, let's say your CPA, you might want a professional CPA. There's somebody in the hood that gets high with their CPA and they're cool with that. Like they go in there, they got weed going, they can do my taxes. And there's an audience for everybody, right? I'm not going to go there, but someone else says they're going to love it there. And I say the same thing for Eminem. Like, I'm not a fan, but we do know people love it. There's people that love it, but even too, I think there is a stigma with him being considered like GOAT, especially when there's so many prolific Black rappers. And again, since it is something that we did start, it's kind of like, damn, you put him in the top 5. But I guess, like I said, he's top 5 to somebody.
There you go. This is what I meant to share. Shout out to Dewan and the work that he's done on this tree. The Black American Music Family Tree shows that, like Monique said in the chat, all of it is ours. Like you just said, live here tonight, June 3rd, because I didn't tell you what day it was. Today's June 3rd, 2024, and we're talking about respect. But we're having a leveled conversation because inside of it, you got to talk about origins, you've got to talk about assimilation, you've got to talk about invasions, invaders, and just people stealing shit or people doing what they feel is necessary. Black Eminem fans are very interesting to me because, like you said, there's so many Black rappers out there with different sounds that how can you goat someone else? But I mean, that is what some people do. They take on other people's stuff because I guess because they don't know who they are. I don't know what that is. But there is somebody for everybody, sure. White people, I understand them liking Eminem because they want to have their feet in the door, They want to have their person that they can attach to.
I mean, they want to listen to rapping somebody that looks just like them rapping.
Right.
It looks like,
It's
yes, I can relate, even if they're not poor whites. Because even
Sure.
too, Eminem has a special sound because of where he's from. That they may not, but they just resonate with seeing some. Oh, looks just like me.
And just I think maybe even more, I don't want to say it's white privilege as much as sometimes people across the board feel like because you did it, they can do it too. Anything you can do, I can do better. Y'all might not say it, but in real time, I see people moving like that. Like y'all have hidden shade about people's successes and their accomplishments and what they've been able to achieve. And then in real time, you'll say, I can do that. And then, but maybe you can't do that. And maybe seeing someone who looks like you do it makes you feel like I can do that. Of course I can do that. See him, he's doing it. He's like me. So I get it.
I mean, Dre thought he could do it. So, there like again, so we can't to some degree too, there's labels that have profited off of him doing it like whoever he's trying to do it. Like, but like I said, like to me, he gives serial killers just a little bit, or like he buried somebody in the trailer park and just never got caught. But that's just me,
Look,
But if you like that sort of thing,
even with that, I used to say it was art. The very dark, twisted, insane, demented. It's all art. You can have oh, what was the show? Did you watch Godfather of Harlem that was on Maxim or Hulu at some point in the very recent? It's got Forrest Whitaker as Bumpy Johnson.
no, I didn't.
You should watch. It's really good. But in the series, an artist paints a picture of him. So you know who Bumpy Johnson is, or so he's a gangster. An artist paints a picture of him, and it's like a monster. It's like a demon, and he hated it because it's like, yeah, that's how you see me. Like that's kind of fucked up because I help the community out. Like I give back. It's not all demon, but I get it. People see what they see and their experience.
Interesting you say that. I want to do a small segue, not anything big, because I do want to come back to Eminem, but kind of like no different than how, let's say, like we may view other countries and other countries may view us. Like they're like, yeah, no, you guys are fucking monsters. And they're like, no, but we're great guys. No, you guys are terrible. Like it's all about perspective, like who's on the whatever end of it. I think, hell, to be honest with you, have you seen King Charles, like his latest photo that was like done of him? Honestly, it really, so it's like there's so much red, girl. It just looks like blood on his hands. And
Yes.
And like I'm like, he doesn't see. Look at I'm like, he doesn't see what's happening. Like, and he's all, I'm like, I mean, it's very accurate. You don't get how telling it is, huh? I'm like, you're that fucking clueless. But hey, please, like, let's keep it up because this is like your goofy ass really like, oh, this is such a great interpretation. Like, this is such an abstract image of me. And it's like, yes, your family is colonized and destroyed and murdered. Like, this is what like so many of us are seeing, or we're seeing like, you don't see all that red. Like, you don't notice how it's like all over the. Okay, I mean, like, hey, if you like it, we love it anyways. But like, if you're gonna let this shit like stay up, like this is gonna go. Like, okay, you paid someone for this.
Let me show you guys what she's talking about. It is very telling. I do love art. I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. No, I'm just playing.
But you're not.
I like that people can put their own onto the piece, because then it's really up to the audience to determine what it means. Art is supposed to be up to interpretation, but sometimes people have, I made this for this, and then even still people will put their own interpretation on what it meant to them. So if you guys can see my screen, yeah, very, very, very much giving Ghostbusters, the dude who was in the painting with the goo, the slime, I'm talking about from, I think it's the first Ghostbusters. Maybe it's the third one. I don't know. Giving my age, but I'm a millennial, so it's
But yeah, that shit was real wild. I'm like, you're okay with this? Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so kind of like that, but he wasn't proud about it. Bumpy wasn't, and this is a show.
Yeah, the opposite. He wasn't proud about it, but I'm like, but it is. I think sometimes that like that's the thing too. Like good people do bad things, bad people do good things. So like there is that thing. There was like in those days there was the gangster, but simultaneously he also was the one that was like helping out the community. People don't realize that's a lot of even how young kids get sucked into selling dope is because that's the person that like showed them interest. Because a lot of people, their goal is to get out the hood, right? So you get your degree, and you never really come back. The drug dealer stays, and he buys that boy the sneakers he needs or the clothes he needs, and that's how he's able to manipulate the young man selfishly because he's gained their trust. And he's probably showed them more attention and more care than anyone else in their fucking lives. But there's that,
I mean, there's that, and then it's even, level conversation tonight, you guys. So, just strap in for the dive that we are going on. But when you are a people who are resource deprived and starved of, there are going to be people who look at that and say, all right, by any means necessary. And then by any means necessary, some of you guys you're not capable of by any means necessary. You will eat from someone doing the things that you say are bad. So I mean, and that's kind of like what Bumpy's issue was like the person who painted it has everything that they have because of all of the bad. But then in real time, I get the artist side of things. Like maybe he's dealing with that, guilty conscience. Maybe I don't want to be so resource non-deprived, like I don't want to have what I have, but I don't want to say no to what I have. So what do? I make art, and in real time, he made a damn demon painting. And Jesse in the chat, thank you for that. It is definitely Vigo. Look at this shit, Marie. That King Charles painting was very much giving Vigo to me.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm like, this shit finna fly? Huh. Like, we're living in some crazy fucking times. Okay. Like, I mean, if you didn't know already, like, it was like confirmation. Like, if you thought you weren't sure, like, here you go. Fucking weirdos. But
yeah, I mean, that was a segue. But back
to come back to Eminem, and I guess him being in like rap or in hip hop, deemed whatever he is. I guess something came up with him, some lyrics in his latest album he came out with. And they were kind of literally shots fired. Should I use that fucking term? Like, I don't know. Like that almost sounds like a dig too. Like shots fired. But he said something about shooting at her feet.
Well, let's let the audience decide what it is, because I know when we talked in the back channel, some of these things, y'all are pussy, and I really didn't want to say it like that as much as I really wanted you to feel me when I say that y'all are sensitive about some things, and you don't even really mean it as much as you just
snowflake
talk a lot of shit. Here's the lyric. I don't know if this is shots fired as much as it's just a lyric that.
He like that shit rhyme. What are you talking about? Like, I'm a white boy. Like, what the fuck do you want from me? As you said, I'm not great.
Right. All right, here we go. If I was to ever take a leave, it would be aspirin to break a fever. If I was to ask Megan the Stallion if she would collab with me, would I really have a shot at a feat? Ha! Y'all,
like a shot at a feat. I mean, it was
shots fired. What the?
They like disrespecting Black women. That's reserved for us and our raps.
Right. Well, right. So then now we've got this weird ass conversation where Black men are jumping out the window about this lyric that maybe it's shots fired, maybe it's not shots fired. I don't know that it's shots fired. Maybe Megan really feels some kind of way about.
But I mean, should we be saying shots fired? Because then I wouldn't be almost be doing the same thing. And we need to stay in our Tory lanes. That was so corny, but at the same time.
I just love you, Marie, right? Look, Jesse, this is what I'm talking about. This is, did you see my thumbnail, or did you see our thumbnail? I'm gonna make us teeny tiny on the screen for a moment. Marie, I'm weak. I'm weak. I'm weak. Stay in our Tory lanes. Yeah, maybe. If we're not really shooting. No, in real time, we've got cookout inviters. I have a very big problem with cookout inviters, Jesse, because it's like, where does the slippery slope stop? Because in real time, you got people who are, you got white people in historically Black university and colleges, fraternities and sororities. I don't I don't get, they got in on a scholarship for affirmative action. Like, where does the slippery slope stop? Because affirmative action was specifically created for the Black people who were resources deprived. So they said, all right, if you get a job, they have to follow certain rules, because you still might not get that fucking job. But if you get a job, they got to have a certain amount of Black people per capita, right? And then now we can flip it and reverse it. If it's a Black school, you can get a scholarship and participate in these groups and organizations that were reserved for us because they didn't want us to be in their stuff. And this is not like a campaign for HBCUs, because I'm not about that shit either. I'm just saying that, are there any sacred spaces? And if there are none, why are we inviting so many people? Like, it seems like a self-inflicted wound, like what Jesse said in the chat. So hip hop Dylan Roof. I mean, yeah, you talking about shooting your mom. I don't know that a lot of us talk about stuff like that, but
I
he's
thought that's like some serial killer shit. Like, and I don't know, there's some men that have mommy issues, so maybe he said something that they always wanted to say but couldn't. But so I have three things for what you're saying, right?
Go ahead.
So one, it's resourceful to take something that was designed for, to, I guess, to bring people into the fold to create inclusion. I mean, to me, it's resourceful for you to use that to your advantage to get in there. So I don't not like, the thing is, I'm never going to knock anyone for taking power, even if I don't agree with that, or if it's taking power from, well, damn, I left the gate open, right? Then two, we're in this position now too, where a lot of that kind of legislation for affirmative action that's being rolled back. So even two Black scholarships, things that are designated race specific, even gender specific, are actually, right now we're seeing trials, we're seeing these things being they're going back. Like we're rolling a lot of shit backwards. We're probably 3 decisions away from Handmaid's Tale. And that includes, inclusion. And even for me, my idea of inclusion is someone that is typically, I mean, I often feel like when you see Black people in like realms of a doctor, or, in certain roles that we typically, one time had a difficulty navigating in those spaces. I think they work twice as hard. So they're really fucking good, right? But I fully believe in hiring the best person for the job, regardless of race. So that means whoever fucking applied, whatever they look like, yellow, blue, pink, if you're the best person for the job, that's who I want in that role, right? So for me, but because racism is not just systemic, it's an unconscious bias.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That being said, things like that are critical because of the fact that sometimes we can't help ourselves as human beings, right? It's what we're familiar with. It's tribal. So I'll say that. Now I want to take it back to rap real quick. It's ironic that we look at it like the cookout, but it's really a bunch of white men running the show.
Yes, yes. Let's get that.
Dancing, rappers are dancing and doing whatever. Rappers, singers, this whole industry is owned and operated by white men. So the issue there is that this ain't even our shit. It's our shit, but it's not our shit. Basically, they took our talent and now they're our broker. You know what I mean? So even to say like, oh, well, they're in our space or blah blah. Is it really our space? It might be this white man I know.
I'm glad you brought it back there.
There's a coincidence on their ethnic background, religion typically too. But I'm going to stay away from that today. Try not to go there. However, there's certain industries that non-Gentiles were able to excel in versus Gentiles. So there's that. But is it, but it's like, and while I've seen Jesse's like, you can say that about anything, but I think we need to be saying it more. Like we need to be talking about why the fuck, like we're working for these people. And even sometimes when we're getting our own label, the label's just adjacent to this other person's label. So even in their space, you think they're not gonna let their nephew in? You
Nepotism
know,
is
even some of that shit where people were coming for Drake, like, you think they're not gonna let their nephew in? They not gonna let their nephew eat? Stop it. Like let's be honest there. You know what I'm saying? Like they like shit, they gave you, they put you on. Cause even too, there's so many talented people that don't have backing, don't have labels, don't have money. And going back to it's just all so some of that shit is just like luck, or again, whatever you're willing to do, as you know, Diddy showed us, or Weinstein. So dark and eerie. That means that
that was the soundtrack. No, that's life and over here. Marie, you are hitting a very poignant part of what I wanted to talk about tonight, because I don't know what Jesse's been saying in the chat because I was looking for this. I won't say anything more than I will just allow you very smart intellectuals with eyeballs to read the screen. Let me make us small again so that they can really see it. Oh, sugar. Where'd it go?
oh we.
There we go.
I mean, we see. I feel like Oprah need to go. Whoever all the mother, because how you know all these motherfuckers and they all in some type of pedophile sex ring and you ain't know shit. None of them. You ain't know nothing about nobody. Like no, we just share lavender lemonades and like, nah, you in it too, sis.
Yeah, this music mogul and CEO of Universal Studios was being investigated on charges of allegedly aiding and abetting and inducing certain other people in the industry. So, like Marie said, is it our space? Not our space, our sound, our money, our story. You know, a lot of us, but we're not in control of it. But we're not in control of many industries. You know, you've got people who say that they won't buy black because the t-shirt company didn't buy it from a black manufacturer. Well, can you tell me where the black t-shirt manufacturers are? Because even the white people are using Asians. Like
they're using Asians, they're using in Pakistani. Like I've bought t-shirts, had things made from vendors in Pakistan, Afghanistan. Like they're all using textiles overseas. Everyone's doing it.
Right.
But I think that's ironic too, because sometimes there's that conversation about Arabs having gas stations in black communities. But I live in a predominantly white area and they have gas stations here too. I'm like, I guess shit, no one else wants to do that shit.
No. On that, I've had a few conversations with people who've had resources but were denied, and it's been on some racist shit. But I think that a lot of the model minority, non-model minority, right? Because then they've got their favorites, and then they've got
they're not like
right. So
we're anti-Muslim that week or whatever. They're like, you know,
right.
But you bring a virus here. Like, well, I've actually been here 20 years, but it doesn't matter. You're Asian. And,
exactly. But they do allow everybody else to dominate other industries because it's a buffer. It keeps us out of the industry indefinitely.
Right.
But it does mean that you're going to see them in places that aren't only where we are. But, the carryout is not in a white neighborhood. You don't have a carryout in your neighborhood. You don't.
What's a carryout?
Exactly.
I'm like, what's a carryout? What is that?
But it's a Chinese food restaurant that's
very much
is that they know where to be, and then they know what industries.
I don't really eat Chinese food anyways. I think I can't trust I don't know what the fuck they made it from. I'm a Japanese kind of person.
And you would hibachi or sushi. Or maybe
exactly. I know it's fresh. I know where, like, I feel like Chinese folks, so they be like us. They frying some chicken. They trying to make do. I don't even know what you over season it with because it might be rat. I don't know. Like, it's probably tasty, but you're not finna get me. You're not going to
Jesse,
get.
I'm with you. Arabs do get the interest-free loans. They're not the only ones. I'm expanding it from more than gas stations, but I've specifically had conversations with people in my area who are Black, who have only been able to get into the gas station industry because homeboy has a best friend that's from Lebanon or from,
Yeah, I only know one African American owned like gas station, if I'm just being quite honest.
and
And
it's
I do think
theirs.
it's about who you know, connections. Okay, Jesse, thank you very much. I do things about who you know, but I almost like kind of like Monique said, it's like the government does it. So it's like the government has segmented who can have what, and it's almost like going back to there's this tyranny going on. There's this like, okay, you can have this, you can have that, but then also too, it also keeps us all kind of pitted against each other. Like, fucker, you got that fucking loan, or you just came here and they just gave you money that they wouldn't get. No different than it's like, there's like recently I was reading that there's certain places in Georgia where they're boiling their water right now because their fucking water isn't clean, but they just African American local leaders passed legislation for like $90 billion for like militarization of their police. So people that look like us decided, like, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna police people that look like us even harder. That being said, though, so let me get this right. You spend all this, but people are boiling their fucking water. It's such a different, depending on the landscape of where you live, what your zip code is, what your socioeconomic background is, you're living in a completely different fucking America than someone else, and like vastly different in a way where it's almost questionable of like a third world country, or it's even similar. There's some third world countries that may have shit that you still don't really have. Depending on where you're located, where you're at, whether it's running water. There was like even recently, there was like years ago, there's a community in Dallas called Sand Branch. And over time, they wanted to buy up that land from the people. And it was actually, Sand Branch was actually originally established by freed slaves. So not only did like over time, like the government tried to buy up the land, but because the way it was set up, they didn't really have a strong irrigation system. So even like farming and stuff like that eventually contaminated the soil, which then contaminated the wells, but then they still wouldn't give them running water. And then they're obviously trying to convince them to sell it, but then they're claiming that there's no value because it's in a flood zone. But when you actually look at like the documentation on the mapping and the designation of flood zone, there's so many other spaces that are also in the said flood zone. So it's a very like, and then the interesting part is less than maybe not even 500 feet away, there is a water municipality there as well. So there's water going through them motherfuckers, just not to them.
Yeah, that those Democratic run cities, those Black faces in high places. Look, being the first Black might have been played out after we got them niggas to the moon, like, and I'm talking about the human calculator first Blacks, because they didn't really want us involved as much as they needed the brain power, because they didn't trust the computers just yet. Outside of that, I first Black.
Like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, very much giving Eddie Murphy.
Like for real. But I think that, and that's something I think that really is like we have to really sit and think about, especially because sometimes we do glorify somebody for being the first Black. For the longest, even for me, it took some time for me to process that Obama wasn't a good president. And that was a hard, like, because I was a fan. Like, I remember exactly where I was when he gave that the speech at the Democratic convention. Like, it was like in 2004. Like, I remember exactly where I was at, what I was doing. And I was just so moved by him. But even it was more romanticizing, because I think even sometimes too, people get in there and they mean well. They have this romantic idea of what it's like to be like this world leader. And then it's like, yeah, that ain't it. Like, in fact, you're really not running shit. But we're going to show you better than we can tell you. But it was a really hard thing for me to grasp and to accept, but then to also understand just the first Black, and I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to take that from you.
Oh, I'm going to knock it, and I'm going to take it from him, because he's
like, and I'm taking that shit down the street.
Yeah, no, I'm taking it. We're going to get a redo on that. The first Black president hasn't quite happened yet. We've had the first melanated president. We've also got a melanated woman in the vice presidency, and I think that that's symbols would be great if there were tangibles or actions that made sense to the people who look like them. And I don't
The
know if
problem
I
is like
see it.
they elect the safe ones, you know what I mean? So it's like
Oh,
the safe
sure.
ones that played by the rules because that's who you want to like. Well, they have to play by the rules and they're just bipartisan and they, you know, they're very moderate. And oftentimes they're not really moderate. They're actually more conservative. Not that I'm against conservative, but there's other times I actually need some radical change. I think at this time America needs radical change. So the thing is like this whole conservative approach. And I think that's why even Trump felony ass. Like I feel like that's why he's so provocative and why people are so because at the end of the day, like he's still whether it's wrong or right, he's like an extreme. Like something's going to happen. He's going to shake some shit up. You know, whether it's good or bad. That you're going to find out a little sooner, though. I'll be honest with you. You're going to find out sooner than later. Then you know you start to notice some legislation. You're like, what the fuck is that? Oh yeah, that came in when Obama was in office. Like it took. Oh yeah, because it wasn't supposed to start until such and such year. But I feel that with Trump, he's so extreme and he's so in your face and he's so just provocative that I mean, I feel like that's why he's able to kind of bring in the crowds, get the pandemonium, get people excited, get people fired up, even if his only objective is to continue to line his pockets and his cronies. But his shit does trickle down a little bit. You know what I mean? We were seeing the trickle down for business entrepreneurs. And so then you see a lot of people that like, look, I love the tax breaks I fucking got. Like, we're in the biggest deficit we ever fucking see. Really, that's not my problem. You grown, you should have thought about that before you let me take this tax break. You know, no different than even when Bush was like, you know what? Let's give everybody a check. We have all this extra money and shit. Like, I'm saying you get a check. And then the funny part too is that, you know, when you're poor, that feels great too. Like this extra $900, you know, like, yes, we're going to stimulate the economy. This shit going to be real bad in 2 years. But right now in this moment, when I got this $900, it felt really good. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I don't even know that it felt good to me. Because in real time, it's like you can't put a Band-Aid on a jugular vein slice, right? Like people are having fatal wounds. Their boat is leaking in the worst way. And it's like, here's some duct tape. And, you know, I hope you can swim. And if you can't swim, I hope you use the stimulus to get you some floaties because I don't know when we're going to be back through here, you know, but, you know, we dropped off some provisions. No, none of that. But it's crazy. You talked about the rules in real time. This is what I've learned. That the white man I showed you on the screen is Universal Studios, right? So then that's the parent company of maybe a lot of fuck shit. But then I started looking at the names of the artists that are under Universal Studios, right? So you've got Drake, you've got Eminem, you've got I was looking to see if Diddy's there. Is Diddy there? I don't know. How do you spell that nigga's name?
I guess Sean. I mean, like we have to call him
yeah, so is he's still Sean Combs or he's not Puffy, he's not Diddy.
The man formerly known, I don't know, with all the stuff he might have changed his name on us.
Let me go to P. I don't see Diddy there, but I did see Eminem and I saw some other names that were just interesting, you know, and people keep saying, well, these people aren't talking about, you know, any issues that make sense. They're not talking about reparations. They're not talking about Black issues. And why would they? They are paid to do a job and then, you know, get off the screen. Eminem's last, whatever, I think what we looked it up was like 2022. So 2 years ago, when he was 49, he had an album, and now at 51 he's got another album. So
yeah, you have an album thing you're doing, but
right,
almost
somebody's gonna buy it, right? Like
someone's gonna buy it. Some young angry white man is gonna buy it. Some young man. But that being said, too, maybe like a part of me feels like even just throwing those lyrics in there, it really just kind of gets people's attention, and then it kind of creates a stir. You know, so even at the very least, too, they're going to go listen to it. Kind of like when Meg and Nicki got into it. I will say I'm a big Meg Thee Stallion fan. Just because I just like the fact that she just has agency. Like, girl, do your thing. But I will recognize too is something me and my girlfriends were talking about, where we look at these people as entertainers, and it's something where they can the lyrics, the things they say, unfortunately, can be influential in young impressionable minds. So it is something to keep in mind. Because even too, I can listen to Sexy Red and I'd just be tickled. Like, she's so damn crazy. This is hilarious. And somebody is really thinking there's some young girl that's like, this is it. No, baby, it's really not it. Like, this is actually funny. It's not like this isn't no. That being said, I say that to say that when her and Nicki were into it, I purposely did not go listen to Nicki's. Like, I did not stream. Like, whatever I heard that came on social media, like, I'm not listening to 2 Foot, Blue Foot, 3 Foot 4. Also, I lightweight just think you're a bully a little bit. I think that I always often find that whenever there's another woman that comes up as a rapper, there's this, this thing with her and them. And that really like bothers me because I don't feel like it's very sisterhood like, when you see a young lady coming up, I feel like you should, if anything, like it's a reflect, like, because too, I'm sure at one point you were something she strived to be. She wanted to be like you know what I mean? She's a predecessor. So to me, to have so much like, because where I'm at, like, even like sometimes when they say like, well, older women are in competition with girls, and I'm absolutely fucking not. Believe me, baby, I don't want nothing you got, nothing they want you. It's not like, if there's no point where I'm like, oh, gotta watch out for these 27-year-olds. I'm never gonna never crosses my mind. Because I feel like when you stand in who you are, you're confident in who you are, like, there also can be like, you want great musicians out there, right? Like, do you want a bunch of trash either? Like, well, because then it was like, I noticed she did something where Nicki invited a bunch of rappers, but they were kind of not the women she's been beefing with. I'll say that. They're very new, some undiscovered, not very well known.
I was gonna say, were they safe? And when I say safe, I mean like
yeah, they wasn't gonna outdo her and then, they're like, she's like, yeah, don't worry, come
on. Jesse, I'm gonna take it back to the industry is what's running the show right now with what's being sold. So kind of like we were talking about Bumpy. Well, I guess we didn't really get here, but if there's gonna be drugs, right, would you want it to be at the hands of someone who doesn't give a shit about you, or would you want it to be at the hands of someone who does give a shit about you? Because maybe they don't let you OD, or maybe there's levels to how much bad stuff that they will allow before it needs to be something that's handled or taken care of. I don't know if people look at the bad stuff that they do in levels as much as people try to do this abstinence thing. Like, I'm not going to do it at all. But then people teach their children abstinence, and then those be the main ones with a bunch of grandkids, and they, really young grandparents, they want to be, the GGs and the grandmas, and the fuck is a grandma? No.
Girl. But I think the thing about it is that oftentimes people mistake education for exposure.
Wait, break that up for me. What do you mean?
So, they're not going to really discuss sex or whatever with their child because, well, now they feel like they're exposing them to it. They're making it okay. Like, oh, if I'm having this conversation, then I'm giving you the okay. If I'm having this conversation, I'm giving you the education and the resources so that you can make good decisions.
There you go.
I think it's so important. Like, I think we talked about in the past, like, it's not so much that I want to just discourage my daughter, prevent her from having fun or enjoying life. I just want her to protect herself. I don't want there to be long-term consequences, things that she can't undo, especially at a young age.
No, I'm asking your daughter.
Thinking at times anyways. And even something you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the money thing, you're like, oh, well, maybe, we were talking about, I'm like, oh, well, a lot of people appreciated that. So ignorance is bliss. So a lot of people don't know what they don't know. All they know is, and there's a lot of people in many places low that they just know they got to check, or they just know this, or they just heard that rapper sing that song, or they just blah, blah, blah. But they don't have the critical thinking skills for discernment, for them to sit down, break something like, this is really, even to be able to say that I'm going to compartmentalize this information. Like, yeah, this is fun. This isn't my life. This isn't a role model for me. I can like her music or whatever, but this isn't my role model. This isn't someone I'd model my life. Matter of fact, this is an entertainer. I don't even know if she believes all her shit. You know what I mean? As opposed to something else. So I say that to say that oftentimes the abstinence conversation, I think it's a lack of education, even on the parenting part, or the, just in general, or even just telling, don't do this. Like, okay, so if you're going to do it, if it ends up happening, or here's the consequence, or this is why, or this is what comes with it. And then at that point, now the choice is yours. Now you got to think about that. Is that really what you want to do? Okay, and that's on you at the end of the day, because I can't save you from everything.
Absolutely. I think exposure is a slippery slope. It kind of goes back to one of my initial questions or concerns about disrespect, access revoked, access granted. Where do we stop? And I don't think that you have to drink with your child to talk to them about alcohol. I don't think that you need to sit with them and watch porn to talk to them about sex, right?
Yeah.
No, you probably shouldn't make it the boogeyman, because imagine your daughter not knowing that her period leads to a baby. Because in real time, there are adults out here who are learning that. Whoa, my period's late. What does that mean? I go to the doctor and the doctor says, you're pregnant. Did y'all know that there are adults who find out that their missed period means that they're pregnant, and they didn't know? They thought something else was wrong with them. How? And we have the internet, so it's not even like back in the day where you had to like make an appointment and then wait or whatever, and then find out however many weeks later, whatever. I don't know how long it took, but no, you can find out in real time. You can WebMD and diagnose yourself today, but still the education and awareness of our actions are missing on people, because ignorance is bliss. It's a lot easier to just not know. Fuck it. And then when things start happening,
not know. It's like you said, it's very easy. It's a laziness. There's so many things under that scope. It's a preference sometimes. People don't want I will say this, like having your eyes up, awakening sometimes can, like, that's why you be seeing people, they be like, quote, woke or conscious, they be angry as fuck. Because like someone just literally, you just snatched everything that I thought I fucking knew.
Yeah. And
you just changed it on me. And like, I need time to process this shit. And I'm mad. And now I want to tell everybody, did you know? Did you know? Blah, blah, blah. And they like, if you don't shut the fuck up, you're running our day. Shut the fuck up. Like, fuck you. We all like, no one wants to hear that. But it's like you're awakening. You don't know who knows. You don't even know how long you weren't aware. And it's like, now it's like you want to save everyone at the same time. Then you're still like processing the information. And I think that like, I feel like we overlook that part too, as far as information, because too, so while we say, ignorance is bliss, it's easy to say that, because with information, typically there's an action that needs to come afterwards, right? So once I have the awareness, what's my next move?
Mm-hmm.
Or what's my guilt? What guilt comes with me not having a next move? I know, and I didn't do anything. I know I didn't say anything. And that even goes back to even some of the shit with these industry stuff. People are coming, oh yeah, I know, oh blah blah blah. So all you motherfuckers knew. They ain't said or did shit.
Right.
But you have the awareness, right?
No, enter Oprah, because I done seen too many pictures, bitch.
She know everybody that's a pedophile. Like she know everybody that's a pedophile ringleader. Like, so you are you sure? And she just
I'm sure that you're complicit in some form or fashion. I
love these new linens. Do you guys want to try out these new linens? Like, what do you think? What do you think of these slippers? I just tried this new handbag, this perfume lotion. It feels so great. Meanwhile, while your friends are out fucking little children.
No, the biggest one for me is the people who are using the plane, but they're saying that they're not going to Epstein Island. No, the plane dropped them off somewhere else, or picked them up somewhere else.
Well, did you know what was going on at Epstein Island? That's why y'all didn't go. But like, we can't go there. Like, well, now we ain't you can't go there, but you could take us around. What's adjacent to Epstein Island? Take us there, like, you know. Meanwhile, then they got on a boat from there, like, to take us back to Epstein Island.
I'm on a boat. No, okay. We're gonna take a commercial break real quick. I need to do some things real quick. To everybody who's joined us tonight, I think that's really cool. I hope you shared this show because, you know, we love having conversations that aren't echo chambers. You guys have thoughts that matter for the constructive thoughts that we'd like to bring you. I don't know how long we're going to go tonight, but maybe Marie, you got another, I don't know, you got some time tonight. Maybe we can try to, let's see if I can get this phone thing up and working.
Okay. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, y'all, we'll be right back with you in a moment. What's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB, or find me on X at Justice, 4, Just Us. That's JUSTICE, 4, JUST_US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your future. Stay away, vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Control your atmosphere. I am you, and control your atmosphere. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody. Yourself. Nobody but yourself.
Oh yeah, right to it. Hey, as of late I'm trying to be more precise, prioritizing what I need in life. Talking cake, you know I need a slice. It was crumbs, we made this shit suffice. She won't skate because she see the ice, see the place and then she get enticed. Double back, she let me hit it. Wait, double back, she let me hit it thrice. Mommy, tell me what your price is. Shawty flexing what the price is, till she caught up in the crisis. Now she wanna know who Christ is. Shout out family trying to see me win. Homie sleep, don't know what dream he in. Mind control, don't know what TV is. Out the box, you cannot keep me in. This the presence of a legend. Story real, it ain't a legend. Break the bread up with the brethren. Danny Glover, lethal weapon. Never know, we keep on guessing. I'm just trying to whip it, hit the gas, little button mash like it's tanking. Young enough to see the blessing. Hey, look. Click clacking my wrist matching, we throwing gems. Big facts and these kids capping, we grown men. Yeah, shit slapping, we been at it, we zoned in. Quit acting, we been acting, we focused. Dip traffic, my whip dropping, you know what it is. Yeah, shit happens, but ain't no scratching me.
Took a break, stepped away, now I'm back to my old ways. Got me feeling like the best of time. And if you guess, Poseidon came back with the whole waves. Skip the line, let us through. Jim shine through the light, where cut through. Sick thing, risk game off the cuff too. No scrimmage, making plays, and we up too. More blessings again. Who fresh as I am, my presence can style you. Just trust what I'm saying. Don't bust down the band, might bring down the value. We finna take a town wide open like an astro plane off the ground, sky floating. And you can have your hands in my face, but I'm seeing everything with my crown eye open.
Yeah, click clacking my wrist matching, we throwing gems. Wait, big facts and these kids capping, we grown men. Wait, yeah, hit slapping, we been at it, we zoned in. Yeah, look, shit happen, but ain't no scratch on me. Nah, look, big action with a lit caption, we focus. Yeah, shit happen, no, ain't no scratch on me. Nah, yeah, whip dragging, we dip tracking, we strolling. Yeah, shit happen, no, ain't no scratch on me. Nah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for y'all's patience while we got some housekeeping done in the background. I don't know what's going on with Blog Talk. I did try to set it up. We have a phone number, but it's not letting me link it to our program. I don't know what that's about. But in the meantime, in between time, I like that we have some original music to remind you guys that we are a creative people. And I think all the time we're trying to take back the things that we've allowed other people's to participate in. But then it's going to be up to the people to rock with it. If you see that a song on YouTube doesn't have a lot of likes or views, I'm sorry, if you see that a song has a lot of views but doesn't have a lot of likes, that might be something worthwhile looking into, because why are so many people watching it? But then in real time, like what we talked about, the shock value of the lyrics or what's being talked about can get people to your channel, can get people to click on your video. Eminem talking about Megan, maybe people wouldn't be talking about him right now if he hadn't included that lyric in, or that line, that, those 2 bars in Houdini. But, right now the rap world was coming off of the Drake and Kendrick and J. Cole missing from the beef. So I get it. People want to be included. They want to be talked about. They feel like they've been here longer. But respect. Is there respect, or are people just saying whatever? I can do it. Anything you can do, I can do better, bitch. Is that what we have going on?
I feel like there's never respect, if you really think about it. There's never respect for your predecessor, because even too, it's like you'll hear someone maybe like a boomer or a Gen Xer, like, well, our music wasn't like that, or blah blah blah. It's like this whole, like, when we talked about, like, no, y'all were talking about fucking too. Do we want to go there? Because we can find the lyrics. It's always this, well, we were different. I'm like, and then you guys are so different, and yet you are the motherfuckers leading the nation into fucking turmoil. But yeah, you're so different. So, yeah, you guys, like, what? We're missing out on all the great things. They were so successful. Like first of all, your houses were like $5,000, bitch. You didn't have a bunch of greedy fucking corporations writing bills and shit, just making life hard on everybody. But yeah, like, we don't want to work. That's almost like women don't like nice guys.
Women don't like nice guys. I think I saw a post about that. I want to say that you shared it from someone else, and she was talking about how it's not that the aggressive or macho guy gets it, but he's the one doing that. He's the one.
Oh, I had some posts like that, and they were so fucking angry. And they like, I mean, someone was like, so then it was like the macho. So what I've discovered is, people read posts from their own like perspective. So they could be just like people post it, right? So I could post something and think about, something that was difficult for me to overcome, and I had to utilize discipline in order to navigate out of that situation. And someone else could read that same post and be like, that's why people are making bad choices, because they're unwilling to go the extra mile. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's like, okay, so I could see where you could get that from. And so even there was that one post where we were talking about like guys can be more aggressive. Some men are just more aggressive, where some men sit back. So this guy could like you for 4 years, ain't said a damn word. This one guy seen you, came up to you, said something, and you obliged. Then I was getting comments on that post like, and so now you're going back to blaming men, you women making excuses. And I was like, I actually didn't feel like this was blameless. I think this might have been, if anything, explaining to the guy that might be a little more passive,
Speak up.
why he's kind of missing out on some opportunities because someone's saying something. But it was so many people just reading something and then I guess putting their own spin or perspective on it, because at the end of the day, like we talked about, you can say the same thing and mean something totally different.
Oh yes. I really would love for us adults in the room to be very mindful of that one point, because in real time y'all are having arguments and disagreements for no reason. In real time you can find out that we're not having the same conversation, agree to disagree, and go about your lives. But no, you want to spend hours, days, weeks, months even on some shit where y'all aren't even having the same conversation. Do you know how much of a waste of life that is? No, you don't, because you spend all your time on internet arguing with people about a conversation where we've got different definitions for what we're talking about.
Jesse's so silly. He's like, gender wars are also what helps aiding in the sexy reservoir. There's always going to be some hood bitch that's going to be out there winning in her own little way. Like that's she has an audience. They exist. They're there. They're a subgroup within a group, but they're there. There's some sexy reds and on somebody's block and in somebody's hood, like all over America. They just, no one gave them a platform. That's all. We've seen it before.
We have, and we've talked about the people who are giving the platform to the fuckery. Honestly, if these people weren't paying for it, then there wouldn't be a market for it, right? So then there's that. Also, generational poverty and mindset is a very real thing. People have really fled from really bad places, and then they come here and things are a little bit easier, not a lot easier, but if you can't go to school and you're a girl, right, and then you come to America and now you can go to school, but okay, so what? You've got racism. I can go to school now, so people are having priority
conversations are different.
What do you say?
I feel like their conversations are different. No different. Let's say I was an African American woman versus, let's say, I was a woman that came here from Nigeria, or I grew up in a Nigerian household or a Chinese household or whatever. Like the conversations are going to be vastly different than the ones that are being held in an African American home, just values and everything else.
I would agree with that.
Neither wrong or right either. It's just their own POV.
It is that, but that goes back to maybe some of y'all don't even need to be spending so much time on the argument, because at the end of the day, are we even really talking about the same thing? Our cultures and stories are different. Our perceptions, points of views, and how we experience life are different. Just because we look similar, just because we have similar qualities, doesn't mean that we're experiencing the same thing. Yes, if the police pulls over a nigga, they don't care if you're from Jamaica, Nigeria, or Compton, because you've got black skin, brown skin, non-white skin. Sure, that's shared. But inside of that, people prioritize what they will deal with. It's like people who will very loudly boast about having the money to abuse, because it's not power if it can't abuse. But is it power if it's abusing? Because now having this conversations, are we having the same conversation? Because just like respect, is power one of those words where it's subjective? You know, you can have your view about what you think is power, and then someone can have their view of what is power. But at the end of the day, is power going to be identified on its own by what's in charge? Or is that not power? Like, people are talking about different things, but then wanting people to agree with them. I think if we're not asking questions, how can you ask someone to agree with you unless you just want an echo chamber? You want blind following. You want a cult. I don't want a cult. I don't want a blind following. I want people who have critical thoughts, critical thinking skills. And then we can talk like adults, right? Inside of that, if you can afford to abuse, are you powerful? Or are you just abusive with money?
Or both. Can you be both? I don't think that they're like mutually exclusive. Like you can't have one without the other in essence to some degree. But you can have one but not the other.
So you can have resources and not be powerful.
You
Or
can
you
have
can have
resources and not be powerful,
resources.
and you can have powerful, but you can't be powerful without resources.
So what about the universal Pookie that everybody likes to identify, who gets all the bitches? He's made all these single mamas.
But is he Pookie
No
though?
resources.
He's doing it. I don't know. Pookie to me is on the lower end of it all. It's not the I will. No, but that guy, I mean, in essence, he's still a hot commodity, right? He's a commodity. And so
Okay.
that's why these women are willing to open their legs up and continue to produce children for him, continue to give him something. Whereas there's someone that didn't. And that's the thing too, where power really only exists if you can control. So if you can't control me, you don't have power over me. So it is somewhat subjective.
Jesse, I wish we could have you call up, because what are you talking about? How are we talking about you? Do you believe that power is only power if it can abuse? Oh, triggered.
Triggered.
Be triggered, Jesse. It's okay. You're in a safe space.
It's like kind of like even, you know, the whole prize conversation. We love the prize conversation. That's been a big one. Who prize, right? But the truth is that you aren't the prize if someone doesn't see the value in you.
There you go.
So you can be the prize to yourself, but you can absolutely not be the prize to someone else if they don't value what you're bringing to the table.
Absolutely.
And that can go in this and vice versa. You're only the prize to the people that desire you or want what you have to offer. Outside of that, you technically could not be considered a prize. Like, it only has value if someone wants or needs it.
There you go.
And if someone doesn't want or need it, then the value isn't there. Kind of like you tell me what to do.
Spirit Wonder in the chat. I agree. There is something special about the Pookies if they can continue to do their due after so many generations of being warned about the Pookies, right? Like, how can you keep getting all of these warnings about this Pookie if how do they continue to exist? Are we prioritizing the fuckery? Because I think that's what we do. I think people say, I can deal with that because it's not going to kill me. I see it all the time with food and health. I can eat this McDouble every other day. Or I can eat McDonald's today because I ate Chick-fil-A yesterday. Or I can have this because I had that. People start prioritizing what they can and can't do because it's not going to immediately kill them. Okay, fine. But if you're like that in one environment, you can't expect me to believe that you're not like that in other environments, because I do think that people are patterned. Not that you're putting yourself in a box, but a lot of people are not having multiple different thoughts and ideas about different things as much as they have one thought, and they make it work across environment. So power. We see racism, white supremacy, what's the word? Colonialism, capitalism, Zionism, all of these different isms as power because they are in control of the resources. But are they the most fit? Are they the most powerful? Are they going to win in a one-on-one? You know,
I mean, no one ever said that part. Like that's okay. Like it doesn't necessarily mean you're the best at it or whatever.
Mm.
For now, but even too, power can shift hands. You know what I mean, too, right? So it's always someone else. And two, there's all kind of going back to, oh, there's some of the things they can do better from the very early age of man. Even in our primitive state, there was someone else that felt like they were more powerful and wanted to control another group, another populous group, regardless to race or ethnicity. It's something ingrained in human nature where they want to conquer.
I don't know if it's conquer. I mean, I hear you.
I mean, it expands their empire. It's just
not even that. A hierarchy.
It's inherited.
I would agree. I think hierarchyism is primal. I think that is innate, and people act on it in real time, and then people try to act like it's not there. It kind of goes back to the abstinence conversation. I'm just not going to do it. But you are depriving yourself of something that is natural, and maybe understanding it would help you use it in a way that makes sense, or understanding it would help you not use it. But no, in real time, people don't know that alcohol can get them drunk or inebriated, or, their guard is down. And then you've got women who say that they made a decision that they didn't want to make because their guard was down. They didn't know how bad it was going to get after so many drinks. And, I didn't say no as much as I did things that would make him, he should have known that I didn't want to do it, because I wasn't talking like that before the drinks. And then, but no, people are not talking enough about things because everybody's just, I guess, agreeing that we all understand what we're talking about because we're all the adults in the room. But then the adults in the room are having very childlike experiences, very much wanting to blame people for what they've done or not accept the consequences of what they've done, or, a lot of shifting blame. And where's the power in shifting blame? Wouldn't you accept go down with the ship, so to speak? That's powerful.
Not go down with the ship.
I mean, if the ship makes it to its destination, you would claim that too. So,
absolutely.
So we gotta.
That's how power works.
Yeah, I think that is how power works. You guys, I really wish that I had got the blog talk up and running, because Jesse, I would have loved to hear your voice with these thoughts that you've been so loud about in the chat.
So articulate about.
And we do appreciate that. So thank you. If you liked what you heard, hit the like. Make sure to share the show with the people that you like to have thoughts that make sense. And next week, we will be back with another conversation that maybe you didn't think you wanted to have, but definitely wanted to be involved in. And Ray, do you have any final thoughts for them before we close it up?
I don't know. I feel like that today, I'm leaving with more questions than answers. When we were just talking about just the music in our spaces, and then, but who's moderating our spaces? I think there's some things to think about. I think there's things to think about just as as African Americans, but then things to think about as just people overall. Because to some degree, things just can't continue to be the way they've always been.
No,
just continue to have the same results. And that's trash. And that's trash. And going back to all those civilizations that I mentioned that, and they expand or whatever, and then they disappear. So we can either continue, we can just fall down fast, or it can be slow, or we can just, make some changes here and there as needed. However, I think that being able to have the conversation and respectfully, and just kind of delve into it. I think there's power in that, and it's beneficial to even really just understand everyone's perspective or different viewpoint, and even understanding that everyone has a different viewpoint for whatever reason, because their life experiences have led them there.
I like that. Respectful disagreements, I think, can change things. Radical change is the easy way, right? Because Y'all know how to have a temper tantrum. You've done it before. But, maybe you're thinking about the consequences. As the adults in the room, we can't just have temper tantrums, right? No, we got to use our words. Can't just be hitting people. No barbelling people out here. No. We're going to use our words. And maybe the thoughts that we have and the questions that we have make people think about what they're participating in. Because something you said earlier that I think should be driven home, that I know we didn't really do, I'm going to try to do it now. Inside of Sexy Red and the Bratchetness, I think if you're championing it, if you're saying, yes, this is something you should do, then that's something you should think about as a person. But if you're saying it's entertainment, then that's something people should do more of. Because in the same breath, people will watch a horror movie where people are getting chopped up, sliced up. People will watch gangsters doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You'll watch the drug dealer do all sorts of, you will watch bad stuff, entertainment. You'll listen to other things, entertainment.
Real bad shit, like bad
No,
shit.
like real,
I'm having watched this movie yesterday. It was fucking like everything was bad. I'm just like, why? But that being said, you'll watch all these things and be able to compartmentalize them without thinking twice about it, without questioning it. And those are the kind of things we need to acknowledge with ourselves. Even have the conversation with your kids, because I think that's like the biggest factor. But the concern is too are the people that need to have these conversations watching right now.
This is why you have to share. That's we talked about this earlier. Yeah, you might be the angry one in the group because you've woken up to all the bad stuff, and now you got to tell everybody, and they're like, "Look, Marie, God damn it, I don't want to hear that anymore. I know it's bad. They blowing people up. God damn it, I know. What are you about to do about it?" Well, we can't do anything about it unless we're talking about it, because people like to do things in the shadows, behind curtains. People saying that you shouldn't talk about how much you get paid at work is how people come in with less experience, 10 years you're younger, getting more than you, because you were indoctrined into thinking that sharing the rate of pay for the amount of work done is illegal. Maybe it's not something the company wants you to do as much as, if you want the math to math, if people are doing the same job, wouldn't you want the same pay? That's how we've found out the discrepancies between the races, between the genders, between all of it is conversations that have happened, not because people are just allowing things to happen and we're not talking about it. So, maybe your little cousin is a Sexy Red fan and wants to do those things. Maybe you talk to her about putting it in an appropriate box. Don't put her in a box, but put that shit in a box, and then the other stuff, you put that shit in a box too, and take it out when you can. Maybe, maybe not while the kids are riding to school, not carpool.
And Beethoven, just never. The other day I was actually working on listening to a whole instrumental, but it started off because I was really doing my stretching and it just seemed really soothing. And then I was on the Stairmaster, and then I was listening to Sexy Red. And I really was hitting that hoe. And that being said, you really got to be able to, you got to be able to do all the things. There's appropriate venues and places for everything. There's a space, a place for every single thing. It has its place. It's where it's at. I always tell people I don't have a favorite, because I think everything has value where it is, depending on what's going on. Even if it's a song, what am I mood? What's my headspace? What's going on in my life?
Mm-hmm.
But right now, this might be the song. Next week, it might be that. But I need all of them just at different points in different spaces, and being able to discern when one is needed versus the other.
That's a good thought. That's a good thought.
We close long. Like, sorry, you guys, for this long. We like, and then I'm gonna tell you one more thing. One more thing before we go. One more thing. I'm not gonna hold you. Don't want to keep it.
It's like getting off the phone with your parents. All right. I'll talk. All right. I love.
It's also meetings at work. We're like, okay, one more thing. Like, you actually been saying one more thing for the last 20 minutes. So I'll be telling my boss, like, are we done or not? Can we leave?
Is we finished or is we done yet? Nah, you guys, y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
What's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB, or find me on X at Justice4 Us. That's JUSTICE 4 JUST_US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first.